So the styling of a default Android project is definitely a good looking application, but a lot of times you're going to want to customize the way things look. And there are multiple ways in which you can do that, which I'm going to cover. But now we're going to focus specifically on styles, or using styles to override the default look and feel of things. So I've just created a blank project here. I've just called it styles. And I'm just going to go into our main layout file where we have our text view. I'm just going to set some properties on this text view. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to change the text size, and let's make it 20 SP. I'm going to change the typeface to monospace. So this is maybe something like a code font. If we wanted to display code inside of our application, we could do that. Let me just change one more thing. We'll change the color just to pure white. Okay, like this. So now we've set the properties on this individual text field. But what happens if we want to be able to reuse this across our entire project? So in that case, it makes sense to not have to set it on every single one, but to create a style for this. So the way in which we create style files is we're going to create a new Android XML file, and you can call it whatever you want, but I'm just going to call it styles.xml. And this is going to be of type values, and we're going to click finish. So now it's going to create a new styles.xml file, and we can see it in the values folder here. So now we can come in and start creating styles. So I'll create a style, and the first thing we need to do is to give it a name, which we're going to be able to reference throughout our project. And I'm going to give it a name of, I'm just going to call it code. Now, in most cases, you're going to want to extend an already existing style. And in this case, since we're dealing with a text view, we basically want to extend the default properties of a text view. That way we inherit everything from the default, and we can just override the ones that we want. So to do that, we set the parent property. So the way in which we get to the default styles of Android is we say @Android, then colon, then style /, and I'm going to base it off of the text appearance style, which is the default style for text appearance. Now you're probably wondering, how did I find out that this is where these are stored and this is what they're called? Well, we'll go into that a little bit later, but let's just do that. So we're now extending this default style within Android. So now we can just go through and set overrides for any properties that we want. And to do that, we create an item tag and we give it a name for which item do we want to override. So for this, we can actually go back to our main XML file and look inside of here, and you can see the things we overrode here, which was Android text size. We made it to 20 SP. So I can just come in and paste this and just have to do a little work with the quotes here. And we just want to put this inside of here. So when we put in 20 SP, and again, we can just go through and keep putting these in for any items, again, that we want to override. So let's do another one. Remember that we changed the typeface on this. So I'm going to say Android, and the property is typeface. And for this, we want to use the monospace font. And the last one we did was the color. So let's create an override for that. And the property for that is Android text color. And for this, we're just going to make it pure white like we did a second ago. Okay, so now we've created this style that, again, overrides this default text appearance that you have in Android. So I'm going to save this, and let's just go ahead and delete this text view. Let's just drag out another one so it has that default look and feel. But now if we go to the properties and we come down to style, we can now come in here and we can see that we have our code style listed. So I'm going to click that code style, and now we can see it's actually applied to our text field. So we can now use this throughout our project, and if we needed to change something, we can just come to the styles and change it one time, and it's going to propagate throughout our project. So what if we wanted to subclass one of our existing styles that we've created? Well, that's really easy to do as well. I can just come down here, I can create another style tag, and I can just, for the name, I can put code. And let's say I wanted to make the text red, I can call it red. So now this syntax is basically saying, take everything that we have in the code style, and now I'm going to create a new subclass of that called red. I can close that. And for this, all I'm going to do is to do one override. And the property is going to be Android text color. And let's just go ahead and make this red. Okay, so now I have an override or a subclass of this code style. So now when I come back, and let's go back into properties, go to style. You can see now I have two styles in here. I have the code style, and then I have the code.red style, which I can apply throughout my project now. So really nice inheritance types of features that makes your styling very efficient throughout your application. So I mentioned before, if you look in styles, where I said, okay, we're going to override one of the default styles that's in Android. Well, how do you know what the styles are and what they're called? Well, this is where the fact that Android is an open source operating system comes in really handy, because you can just look at the source. So I'm going to go in my browser, and if you navigate to android.git.kernel.org, this will allow you to browse the Android source code. So if you want to get to the Android framework classes, you're going to want to come down to Platform Frameworks Base. And you can see this right here. So I'm just going to click that. And what I'm going to do from here is click on Tree, which is then going to show me all of the packages inside of here. Now, if I actually want to get to the styles, we basically go into the core directory, which contains all of the core files in Android. Click on the res, click on the res again. And now you can see all of the resources that's in the default shipping version of Android. But for us, we want to go to the values folder. So let's just scroll down to there. And now you can see there's a styles.xml file, and we can actually just view that. So now these are all the default styles that exist in Android. And this is a really useful way also to learn how they styled certain items. So if there's something in the default controls you really like the styling of, and you want to see how they did it, you can come and peruse the source for everything. So again, it's very helpful, the fact that Android is open source. But again, you can come through here and look to find a style that you want to extend. But ordinarily, you're going to want to do that because I don't want to set all of the properties that make up a text view for my style. I just want to start with the default and then just override the individual properties that make sense for my new style.